is Christopher McNabb, who is facing charges for the murder of his 2-week-old child in Covington, Georgia. After the child's mother reported the baby missing to police, local law enforcement immediately launched a search. Later that night, McNabb is seen in front of TV cameras begging for his child back.
I want my kid back, man. That's my child, man. I want my kid, man.
The next day, the child's body was found in a nearby wooded area. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, which was later ruled a homicide. McNabb was arrested and charged with the murder of his own 2-week-old baby. After he was found guilty, we now move on to the sentencing. McNabb can then be heard claiming his innocence.
I'm innocent. I didn't do it. I've maintained that the whole time. I would never do this. That's all I got to say. I would never do it. I'm innocent.
And now the judge lets McNabb unknowingly choose his own sentence.
You claim you're innocent, so you tell me what sentence the man or woman that you claim did this should receive.
If you ever find out who did them, they deserve to be under the jail.
Okay, so they ought to get the maximum sentence.
Most definitely.
Okay. On the crime of malice murder, I sentence you to life in confinement.
Oh, hell nah, bro. Imagine you that dude and you... I ain't gonna lie, I would've had to up on the judge.
After McNabb was handed down the max
Real
sentence,
talk.
he was moved to
He
Hays
ain't
State
playing with me
Prison
like that,
in
I ain't
Tryon,
gonna lie.
Georgia, where he is serving his life sentence. This is Franklin Williams, who is convicted of multiple felonies, including armed robberies and fleeing police in Cleveland, Ohio.
Again, I'm going to interrupt. Mr. Williams, listen to me. I'm going to gag you in 1 second.
Williams conducted 3
Pause, nigga. Holy
armed robberies
fucking
before
shit.
leading police on a high-speed chase. He was later arrested and convicted. Now, at his sentencing, Williams would not stop talking, despite more than a dozen warnings from the judge.
That means zip it right now. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Why that nigga got a dread on his beard?
Here we go.
This resulted
niggas
in
just
the
be doing
judge
anything.
ordering Williams' mouth to be taped shut.
If you spit on, attempt to bite, or injure any of my deputies, you're gonna have a bad day.
That's what it is.
At a following court appearance, Williams has something to share with the judge and cameras.
Freedom of speech, no duct tape with the hashtag.
Aside from all the interruptions,
Bro, y'all
the
niggas be
judge
thinking
can
y'all
hand
so
down
woke.
Williams' sentence.
Shut your dumb
You
ass
face
up.
the potential maximum consecutive sentence of 134 years.
Ooh.
I ordered a 24-year sentence.
After Williams received a 24-year
Oh,
prison sentence,
shit.
the judge later apologized for the duct tape and threw out that sentence. He then appointed a new judge, where she sentenced him to 33 years behind bars.
I ain't gonna lie, bro.
This is Camia Gamet, who is charged with the murder of her boyfriend in Jackson, Mississippi. Reportedly, the attack happened during an argument between the two individuals and ended with the boyfriend being violently stabbed to death. Gamet was arrested on first-degree murder charges. In court, Gamet would claim her murder was in self-defense and her boyfriend was attacking her, but in the end, she was found guilty of murder.
The way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
We now move into the sentencing, where Gamet reportedly kept interrupting the judge.
She got the Queen Latifah braids off.
With
Set
Gamet
it off,
showing
you
no
know she did
remorse,
that
the judge had some final words.
You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead. I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
Damn! Hey, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm not letting that nigga talk to me like that. There's just no fucking way on earth. I ain't gonna lie. You got goofy of the day.
Was sentenced
You
to
really gonna
life
let that nigga
in
talk to you
prison
like that, bro?
without the possibility
Couldn't
of
be me.
parole. This
give a
is
fuck.
Kimberly Kessar, who was
I don't
charged
give
with the
a
murder of her coworker in Nassau County, Florida.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin.
Kessar was working at a
fuck are you
Tangles
talking-
hair
what are you
salon under a
talking
fake
about?
name. She reportedly was on the run for 25 years and wanted in several states. She wouldn't be found and awaiting trial.
Are we on mute anyway, so I can say whatever the I want?
We're not on mute.
Oh, okay.
And this is what it was like to supervise her in jail.
We began to remove feces from styrofoam trays in the back of her cell and smeared on herself on the walls.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. You can tell that bitch so fucking crazy.
Now,
Look at her.
in the trial, she had to go to a separate room due to her outbursts.
I refuse it. I have refused it. I refuse the public defender's office. They appointed Jolene Cummings' cousin as my public defender. offender. What, you don't want the public to know that?
And she continuously made false claims about her former public defender.
Jordan Beard is Jolene Cummings' cousin. Jordan Beard is Jolene's cousin.
Bro, that bitch
She
so
was later
crazy,
found
bro. I would
guilty
get
of
that bitch the
first-degree
electric
murder
chair,
and was
even if she didn't
sentenced
do
to
nothing.
life in prison without
You not finna play
parole.
with me like that in my shit.
This is Kyandria Cook, who was found guilty of carjacking charges in Volusia County, Florida. 18-year-old Cook and her then 17-year-old boyfriend had used a dating app to set up a carjacking, where the boyfriend reportedly shot the victim, leaving him seriously injured. After fleeing the scene and being on the run, the pair attempted another carjacking just 2 days later, but they were arrested. Now in court, Cook stands in front of the judge for her involvement in the theft and shooting.
Keeps you guilty of all 3 charges, sentence you to 20 years in state prison.
That is
sorry,
Cook's
but that
mother
shit is
that
not
can be
funny.
heard crying.
But you know I don't give a fuck. Calm down, mamas. Calm down. You the one who raised it.
Reportedly, the reason for this very
That be wrong
emotional
with y'all.
outburst
They
is
all
there
wanna
was a
cry and shit,
miscommunication with the assistant
turn
public
out wicked.
defender, where Cook and her mother thought she
But I
wouldn't
ain't
face
raising
any
right. Fuck
prison
around with
time.
you, bitch. Look at that ass. Stupid. My mama would have been laughing at that bitch.
Cook's sentence was later reduced to 11 years in prison. This is Jacob Morgan, who at 17 years
Yeah, that
old
nigga
was
finna
found
get
guilty of setting a house fire that killed a family member in Rock Hills, South Carolina. Morgan was left alone to look
Look
after
at
his
this nigga, bro.
14-month-old stepbrother,
Oh,
and
nah,
reportedly,
bro.
prosecutors said Morgan intentionally set the fire that
Oh,
killed
nah,
his family
bro.
member.
Bro, I hope
In
this
court,
nigga get
Morgan
bent
is at a
the fuck
probable
over.
cause hearing. Listen as the judge speaks.
So therefore, I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual.
That's what you get, stupid. Stupid, man. Fuck these motherfuckers, bro.
Morgan settled for a plea deal where he pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and unlawful neglect of a child. However, he stated he loved his brother and he always maintained his innocence.
I love my brother. I still do to this very day.
Your bitch ass up,
Killing
nigga.
killing pieces myself. And I just wish I could have gotten to him in time.
Morgan was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but after serving only 7 years, he reportedly was released.
Nigga, I ain't gonna lie, bro.
This is Ignacio Rodriguez, who is the suspect in the death of his 4-month-old son in San Antonio, Texas. Reportedly, the child suffered a fractured skull and severe bleeding to the brain. Rodriguez was the lead suspect and was taken into custody. Now in court, Rodriguez stands in front of the judge where he is now facing a capital murder charge, but reportedly, he instead pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of intentional or knowing injury to a child causing serious bodily injury.
Mr. Rodriguez, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty. The judge now hands down his sentence.
It is the order of the court that you be sentenced to 50 years.
Hold on, bro.
confinement.
But
Hold the fuck on. So the last dude killed his son and got 7 fucking years, but this nigga get 50. What?
this is the moment that the baby's mother confronts Rodriguez.
I hate you more than anything what you did to
I'm
my
so
son.
confused.
For that, I can never see myself forgiving you. You were supposed to be our protector, not the one to break our hearts.
When the mother starts talking about her
fucked
other
up, man.
child,
That's fucked.
Rodriguez insists that she tells the truth.
As she gets older, she will start asking questions.
Then tell her the truth. Tell her the truth. Tell her the truth. Tell her how everything was supposed to be. Tell her the whole truth. Don't lie to her. Tell her the whole truth. Tell her the whole truth. The whole truth.
Court officials quickly remove Rodriguez out of the courtroom.
Tell her the whole truth, Angela. The whole truth.
He is currently serving his 50-year prison sentence. This is Damon Kemp. He
Boy,
is
what the
charged with the
fuck? Boy, what the fuck? This nigga think he's Super Saiyan or
double
some
murder
shit. Get
of
your
his
stupid
roommates
ass
in
on.
Daytona Beach, Florida. Police were called to investigate a burglary at an apartment complex, and it was here Kemp allegedly
going to the
confessed to
hospital,
the
man. Get your
murders.
ass
He
in
was
that-
originally staying
in
with
that
his
jail
2 roommates
cell.
when both individuals were shot several times in the apartment. During Kemp's bond hearing,
Bro, I couldn't be no motherfucking judge, bro. Like, if a motherfucker like this came in, bro, like, get him the fuck out of here, bro.
he's now
Straight to prison. We ain't even finna do this shit, bro.
escorted
Prison.
into
100
court in
years.
a wheelchair.
You ain't finna come acting crazy in my motherfucking courthouse. You got me fucked up. Fucked up.
The judge tries to get Kemp's attention, but he's completely ignored.
Mr. Kemp? God! Damon Kemp, I'm going to conduct your first appearance.
For the victim's family, it got so tough they had to walk out. Kemp is currently in the Volusia County Jail awaiting his trial. This is Erica Butts and Shanita Cunningham. They were both charged with homicide by child abuse in Summerville, South Carolina. Butts, who was best friends with the child's mother, was supposed to be caring for the toddler for 2 weeks. The child was only 3 years old. She died from her injuries, reflecting weeks of torture, a time frame that matched the time she had spent with Butts and her lover at the time, Cunningham.
What must have been the excruciating sounds that came from that child is more than disconcerting to this court.
After both women were found guilty, the judge now hands down their sentence.
The court finds it appropriate that each be sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of life.
They were just sentenced to life in prison.
Boy, I would have been in that bitch acting crazy as fuck like, oh, dude. Like this nigga. Real talk, bro. You ain't finna give me life, bro. And I'm just going out like that. No. Somebody gonna die before I go. I'm acting just like that too, bro. Nothing, probably more.
Butts and Cunningham are reportedly at separate prisons serving their life sentences. This is Anthony Kirkland, who is a convicted serial killer in Cincinnati, Ohio.
That nigga look like he did that shit Jeffrey Dahmer did.
They're right. Even my mom hated me, but I don't blame her.
Kirkland had previously served a 16-year prison sentence for the killing of his ex-girlfriend. A few years after his release, Kirkland begun his killing spree. Over a 3-year period, he killed 4 women, 2 of them being teenagers. Kirkland was arrested after his 4th murder, as he was caught with one of the victim's watch and iPod, which made him a lead suspect. Eventually, police were able to pin all the murders to Kirkland. Now in court, as the charges are being read out, Kirkland is facing the death penalty, and next, he appears to faint.
Count 4, aggravated murder.
Kirkland was later found guilty on all charges and sentenced to death. He is currently on
Man, that nigga just closed his eyes and hope for the best. That
death
nigga ain't
row
faint,
awaiting
bro.
his execution
That
at the
nigga did not
Chillicothe
faint.
Correctional Facility. This is Rod.